Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. Today we start Season 7 with the album Wonderworld and the song Wonderworld. Great to start off your album with the title track. Sets the pace for things for sure. A really cool song. We're going to dive into it. I don't think I have any pressing matters or anything to go over, so let's just get right into the song, because why not? Here's Wonderworld. Very interesting start. It's very reminiscent of Sunshine, the last track we reviewed, the bonus track from Sweet Freedom, that 4-part sort of dragged pattern. The drums are nice and interesting, you know, the typical snares and crashes that we're used to from Lee Kerslake, a tempo change right at the beginning. Well, not really a tempo change, but him doubling up, much like he did at the end of Sunshine, double up, drop back sort of thing. Not hearing any guitars. What I'm hearing is drums and bass, and then I hear a Hammond in the far right and a piano really way back in the mix in the far left. Not picking out any guitar, but it could be blended in with something else that is just kind of disguising it a little bit. But it's interesting, and then we've got the the stoppage to get ready for what I would imagine is the first verse.
We freely speak of dreams. We marvel at what they conceal. But in my wonder world, each sleeping vision is so real. So I believe and hope that all the things I see may one day bring such truth and peace as we can feel. Free from this waking world, deep in sleep's mystery, my will is free to wonder carelessly. At times it's not so far from what we call reality, and at times I know I wonder if it all could come true.
This is a pretty gentle opening song for a rock band. You know, in the beginning, it seemed like it was really going to be a kicker, but it's really backed off. It's a little more on the gentle side. I really love the vocal. It's not really a pattern, just the style of it. Where the accents are, where it goes up and down in pitch. Really nice to follow. It's really enjoyable. It's nice to hear everybody kind of backing off a little bit. Still not hearing any guitar, although there could be some strums on the downbeat. I'm not sure. But I'm hearing, of course, piano and organ, bass and drums and vocals. So not sure what's happening with the guitar here at this point, but it's really a lovely little piece, just kind of a surprisingly gentle song for a rock and roll band to start an album with. Okay, now we're starting to get into that heavier meat that I was expecting more from the beginning. But what a beautiful vocal! What a lovely passage through this part. I really like the song. I have to wonder too, though, if it wouldn't have been a great ending track. You know, with the vocals, the chorus. There's something that just kind of reminds me of. I don't know quite what it is. Maybe the Butterfly Ball album. Thinking of the song like Homeward, like this just kind of feels something a little bit like that, where I think it would make a really good ending track. You know, the summary of the story, all right, let's all walk home now. It's time to go. But that's just my impression of it. Really interesting though, making that connection. But in any case, it's just a beautiful passage for sure. There's something a little bit weird but interesting about the particular notes that he's playing on the Moog there. It doesn't go exactly where you would expect it to go, what would be typical, and I like that. I like that it's a little bit different, that it's, that you can't just predict what you're going to hear before you hear it. And even the second passage of it is kind of a surprise because you forget that it was a little more adventurous and interesting, I should say. But a cool part nonetheless. I love that sound. I have a few sounds like that myself, and I just love that. Just the texture and the style of that particular synth patch really has always been one that's intrigued me, and I think it works really well in this song. The up and down drums is kind of weird also. You kind of would think that at some point it's going to go into this, major fast hard rock dynamic every time he picks up the tempo or every time he starts doubling the snares like that. But he doesn't. It makes it a weird and interesting little song. Okay, now I'm going to really reinforce my comment about being a good ending song for the album with that little concert style ending that they did there. I do hear some guitar in there, though, now. I hear it. It is blended in a little bit towards the left ear. Sounds like he's playing some chords and maybe a little bit of picking in there as well. Kind of hard to pick out because it's really blending with the organ. So, but I did hear it in that last section a little better than I had earlier, or hadn't heard it at all earlier, I should say. But what an interesting song. It goes nowhere you'd expect it to, which is, it's not uncommon for Uriah Heep to have it, but some of these changes seem a little abrupt from what I'm used to from them. And, of course, everything is experimental. They had these, really successful last few albums. They've been on tours. You take everything that you learn on that tour, you go to the next thing, and all that comes with you, plus whatever you feel or have learned outside of that's new. And drawing on things that you've always known. It's interesting as each album tends to take shape of the snapshot of where the band and the members are at the time that they are writing and recording it. But this is a very interesting song to start an album. I like it. I like the fact that I don't know where it's going. I like the fact that there are some abrupt changes that I would not expect. It was done not so that it was displeasing, because you can have abrupt changes that are just, they just feel off. And but not here. I think as abrupt and strange as the twists were, they work. They really work. And I'm obviously not very familiar with this song. It's not one that I've listened to much or in a long time. So it's nice to revisit it, and it's nice to rediscover my enjoyment of it. Good way to start the album. Now, I didn't talk about the album at all. We're on Wonderworld. This is the 7th album of Uriah Heep, and this lineup is the same as the last few albums. It's David Byron on lead vocals, Ken Hensley on keyboards, piano, and backing vocals. And then we have Mick Box, who is also on guitar and backing vocals, Gary Thain on bass and backing vocals, and Lee Kerslake on drums and backing vocals, because everybody in this band got to sing. You just got it. The album artwork is pretty interesting. It's, I don't know how long they had to stand in these poses, poor guys, but they're all on pedestals as if they were statues of some sort. I don't think it's awards, because it doesn't really look like awards, although each one does appear to have a placard I can't read. But they're all standing there. They look like they've maybe been touched up with a little bit of white powder, almost like a Roman or a Greek statue. I see a lot of these here in Vegas, especially if you go to Caesar's Palace. They also have people that are living statues where they really appear to be a piece of marble or stone, but they're actually real people that are just really good at not moving. And they can go a long period of time without blinking. They are very good at disguising their breathing. It's a really intense thing. But of course, in here we've got David Byron with his shirt open, and I swear you could make a drinking game out of finding photos of David Byron with his shirt open. Seems to be a very comfortable thing for him. And, that's fine. That's just his thing. Everyone else is kind of positioned a little awkwardly. Mick's got his hand up like he's waving at people. Gary looks like he's playing a bass. Oh, I kind of like they're all doing their thing. I guess that's Lee's supposed to be hitting a cymbal and a snare, which would probably be about right for him, but a very awkward looking position. So I hope he didn't have to hold that for too long. Ken has his arms outstretched as if he's playing piano or keyboard. I'm going to guess he would be a little closer to it, though. That looks a little too outstretched. And, David's in his classic pose with his arms out and his head dipped backwards. Mick is squatted down waving. So, he's not in the middle of playing something right there. Very interesting set of poses. I like the concept of it. It looks good. It's just slightly off of black and white. It has a little bit of a bluish tint to it, which is why I can't tell for sure about the white powder. But they do seem to have a little bit of a sheen to them. Could be wrong. I've never seen it in color, at least not as far as I remember having seen it in color. But and then on the backside, we have a picture of them dressed normally on the same pedestals. These pedestals are now just lined up 5 in a row instead of in random spots on the floor like they are on the cover. But very interesting concept. Not one that's unpleasant. It's weird coming off of, like Demons and Wizards and Magician's Birthday, where you've got these fantasy covers, and Sweet Freedom, which is just kind of them in the middle of this sunset feel cover in colors in the artwork. And then you've got Wonderland, which is just a whole different, or Wonderworld, I'm sorry, which is just a whole different concept. Really interesting how the band has gone through these different changes just in the visual perception of them, as well as how much they've changed musically since Very Heavy, Very Humble. But good song, good way to start the album. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a cool song. Listen to it again. Listen to it on the whole and see how it makes you feel. See if you feel those changes are too abrupt and offsetting, or if they're off but interesting enough to be tolerable or interesting or fun even. I don't know. That's going to be to the taste of the listener. I'm sure there's plenty of people that said, well, it's just too crazy, this song. And then there's other people that just loved it. I love it. I think it's a great song. And I especially love the vocal delivery on this one. There's just something about the way he delivered the lines that I think makes this song really special too. So anyway, that's Wonderworld from Uriah Heep, our first episode of season 7. We're in it, guys. Like, this is really happening. And I'm glad that you're here for the ride. We'll get to the next song on Wonderworld tomorrow. In the meantime, guys, we're almost at the end of the week. Have a fantastic Thursday, and we'll see you tomorrow. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!